Hello, dear viewers. Someone who loves nature, embraces green living, and has devoted many years to turning kitchen waste into organic fertilizer, also known as compost. Today, I want to share with you a topic that is very close to our daily life, but also full of challenges. Why does our compost take so long to finish? I truly believe that every scrap of vegetable peel, every piece of fruit skin you discard holds hidden life. With proper care, they can transform into amazing nutrients for the soil. Yet, this process sometimes takes so long that it discourages many of us. From years of experience, I've noticed there are 5 common mistakes most of us make, and today I want to share each one along with ways to fix them. First, lack of nitrogen-rich materials. Did you know compost needs food just like us? During decomposition, microorganisms need both carbon and nitrogen to thrive. Carbon acts like long-lasting energy, while nitrogen is like protein that helps microorganisms grow fast. When nitrogen is lacking, compost decomposes slowly, sometimes for months or even years. I remember once making a compost pile from tomato skins, leafy greens, and radish stems, but I overlooked nitrogen-rich materials like coffee grounds or fresh green leaves. As a result, after nearly 3 months, the compost was still unfinished. Later, I added a layer of coffee grounds and mixed it well. Just 2 weeks later, the compost smelled earthy and was ready to nourish plants. So here's a question for you. Have you checked whether your compost has enough nitrogen? A simple tip I follow is keeping a carbon to nitrogen ratio of about 30:1. For example, 3 parts fruit and vegetable scraps, carbon, mixed with 1 part coffee grounds or fresh green leaves, nitrogen. This not only speeds up composting, but also prevents unpleasant odors. Second, compost pile too small. There's a common misconception. Smaller compost piles are easier to manage. In fact, the size of your compost pile plays a crucial role in retaining heat and creating a suitable environment for microorganisms. A pile that is too small cools too quickly, becomes too wet or too dry, and slows down decomposition. I once met an elderly woman in a small village. She told me she composted in a small bin in her kitchen corner. Even though she added organic waste daily, her compost still took months to finish. When I visited, I suggested she expand her compost area to about 1 cubic meter and use a larger bin. Within weeks, her compost improved dramatically. Have you ever noticed that in nature, organic materials naturally gather into thick layers to preserve heat? Compost works the same way. A larger pile retains heat better, which helps microorganisms work more actively and speeds up the process. Third, placing compost in the shade. Light and warmth are essential, yet many overlook them. Some people place compost in a shady area to avoid odors or for convenience, but this slows decomposition. Compost works best between 50 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius, 120 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and sunlight helps maintain steady warmth, encouraging microorganism growth. I remember guiding a group of young people in an urban garden. They placed their compost bin in a shady corner. 2 months later, compost was still not ready. I suggested moving it to a spot that receives morning sun. Within weeks, it began to smell like healthy earth. Ask yourself, is your compost missing sunlight? If so, try placing your compost pile somewhere with direct sunlight for at least a few hours each day. You'll notice the difference. Fourth, not maintaining stable heat. Compost is a living kitchen for microorganisms. They need a stable environment to work. If the temperature fluctuates too much, they slow down or stop. Keeping heat stable is a key factor in determining how fast compost finishes. One example I often share is from a friend's organic farm. Initially, they placed compost outdoors, exposed to weather changes. The decomposition process was slow. Then they covered the pile with straw and a plastic sheet, which kept the heat stable. As a result, composting time was cut nearly in half. I want you to imagine this. Compost is like a kitchen for microorganisms. If temperature and moisture are steady, the chefs work continuously, turning organic waste into nutrient-rich compost. If conditions change too much, they take a break and everything slows down. Fifth, not protecting compost from rain. Last but not least, many people forget or neglect to protect their compost from rain. Too much rain can make compost too wet, depriving it of oxygen and producing unpleasant odors. On the other hand, if it's too dry, microorganisms won't work effectively. Covering your compost helps control moisture, maintain temperature, and create ideal conditions for decomposition. I remember visiting a green living community. They composted outdoors without any cover. Every time it rained heavily, their compost became soggy and sticky, halting the process. When I suggested they cover it with straw or cloth, their composting improved significantly. It became faster and cleaner. Have you ever thought that something as simple as protecting compost from rain could change the whole process? Sometimes, nature just needs a little thoughtful care to turn what we discard into something precious. Through these 5 mistakes, I want to share a deeper message. Composting is not just about waste processing. It's a lesson in patience, balance, and respecting nature. When we understand and nurture the soil, compost becomes a rich source of nutrients, helping us grow healthy food, protect the environment, and live greener lives. In the era of AI, we can optimize composting using technology, temperature and moisture sensors, automated compost management systems. This not only saves time, but opens new horizons for sustainable agriculture in Vietnam. Have you ever tried composting and faced similar challenges? Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you found this useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss videos about composting, green living, and the future of farming.